guys, welcome back to another video. Since before picking up my G80 M3 competition, I have wanted an exhaust system for that car. When I got my hands on the very early press cars, right at the beginning of this year, the first thing that I realised was obviously how much they are lacking in sound. And that's not down to the manufacturers, that's down to sound regulations, OPF filters, etc. Every modern car pretty much that you can buy today, sports car, supercar or otherwise, is fairly muffled compared to cars of, let's say, 10 years ago. I'm down here at the Miltech Sport headquarters and development centre with my M3 competition today to get one of their systems fitted. This is not quite my M3, although it is the same colour, Portimao blue. This is actually one of their development test cars. It's a brand new G82 M4 competition, and it's just come back from the Nürburgring where they test the majority of their stuff. These guys do it properly. In fact, they've been around for almost 40 years now, so they know their exhausts inside out. BMW actually do their own M Performance exhaust system for the G80 and G82, but to me it looks pig ugly. It's like a pyramid. Also, I've heard that the M Performance exhaust doesn't sound any different to the stock system, so what is the point? Lieb Engineering have very kindly sent me an OPF to LEAT cable, so essentially it plugs into the sensors where the OPFs normally would, and it tells the car that the OPFs are still there, so it doesn't trigger any sensors, and that allows me to basically run that catback system. So I'm really excited about trying that. Miltech obviously don't just do exhausts for BMWs, they do them for a number of manufacturers, including that Hyundai behind me. That's the i20N. I haven't driven one of those yet, but I have got my eyes on one. They look like really exciting, good value cars. Right, let's head in and get out of this wind and check out my car with its original exhaust on it, and then watch the fitting process. Okay guys, I'm now underneath my car with Kev, who's worked at Miltech for 20 odd years, so absolutely knows his stuff. We're going to have a quick look around and see what the standard or stock exhaust is, look at the fitments, where we're going to be connecting the new system, and just have a general look underneath the car. Kev, appreciate your time.
No problem.
Let's get under there and have a look at the system.
Yep. So first of all, what you'll notice is we've got two valves on the rear silencer. They're integrated into ours. What we do is we use the OE motors because sometimes they're coded to the vehicle, so you're not going to get any codes throw up. Car won't go into limp mode. Moving forward, there's dimples on the system here where you'd normally cut that if you fit in an OPF back system. In this particular case, we're going to be fitting a full GPF delete, so there's no need to cut there. Centre silencer lets the gases balance in there and just takes the edge off, and the usual rasp that M3, M4s can kind of produce.
Yep.
Moving forward, you've got the GPF filters in there, which are the main restrictive parts on this system. They will withhold all the noise that the car should produce. Just at the front, two pressure sensors there. So if they're removed, the vehicle would know by the pressure sensors not reading correctly, put the vehicle into limp mode.
Okay.
What we're going to fit to this is just underneath this heat shield, two GPF delete sensors. It's just basically a little loom that plugs into the existing one, tells the car that the GPS is still in place.
Fantastic.
Moving forward, you've got secondary catalysts. Primarily, they kind of heat up to preheat the GPS with them being so far back down the system.
Yep.
And your system will bolt off these two flanges here and here, a direct replacement, so we've not got to cut the system at all. We'll just undo everything off it and drop the system down by also replacing the brace bar that we've got in the centre. Dips down 20 millimetres, gives you clearance above there for the 80mm pipework, which is bigger than stock.
Yep.
But doesn't sit any lower than the rest of the car, so there's not going to be a ground clearance issue there.
I mean, that's what really excites me about this system, is the fact that it literally, those bits there essentially bolt onto here, so there's no sawing. It's a full system from this point back. One thing we can see, obviously exaggerated from down here, is the horrible back box. Now, okay, on the road you don't see it as much, but you still see a fair amount of it. And just like with the M2 competition, no idea why BMW didn't paint that black, because at least it would have stood out less. So sound, number one, and number two is aesthetics, improving the way it looks, not just with the tips, but also getting rid of that fairly industrial and ugly looking box. Right, as if by magic, the system has been fitted. It looks incredible under there, I have to say. I love all of the new pipework, the welds, everything. It just looks amazing. It's almost a waste that it's under the car, because let's face it, you don't really get to see much of it most of the time. Let's have a look at the different tips. What have we got here? The first ones are?
Yep, so with the first ones we've got a 304 stainless, which is mirror polished.
Yep.
All the tips are the same diameter, 115 mil. So they're all interchangeable between each other. It's got Miltech Sport logo embossed in there, so
Yes.
you're not going to polish that off. They're chrome, you want to see them, you want to give them a polish.
Yep.
That's going to stay forever.
Well, this is very, I mean, obviously I've known about Miltech for many years, and that stamp, if you like, or engravement, and this finish is very Miltech to me.
Yeah.
They look really good. They contrast very well with the carbon and the back of the car. So let's have a look at option number two. So this is like an anodized sort of finish?
So it's just a Cerakote finish that's applied to there, so it's not going to burn off with the heat, and it's basically the polished tip which gets sandblasted to create an abrasive surface.
Sure.
Coated, still got the Miltech logo embossed on there.
Yep. I mean, that does look very good. And I think these are probably your most subtle tips.
Yeah.
And actually probably replicate the standard ones the most, because the standard ones obviously are black and reasonably subtle. They look really good. Let's have a look at the next option. Well, firstly, I could say these are extremely lightweight.
Yep, so these are full titanium tips, based on the dimensions of the previous 304 stainless, but in titanium, and as you can feel, they're
It's like a third of the weight.
quarter of the weight, yeah.
Yeah, quarter of the weight. It's unreal. Obviously in that raw titanium color, which is just gorgeous. Contrasts well with the carbon, the black, the blue. It's a color that, yeah, sort of suits everything. I'd say these are a brave choice, but again, off camera, I was saying if I saw these on, say, your website or in a catalogue, I wouldn't probably go near them. They're a bit too leery in pictures, but then when you see them in real life, they're actually really cool, and it doesn't help that they almost exactly colour match my Portimao blue paintwork. So to be honest, it's kind of between these and the raw titanium. I'm going to go with raw titanium. I went brave with the colour of this car when I got it, and I'm glad I did. And obviously Miltech have got the same taste as me in terms of paint colour. But I think the raw titanium will be the ones to go for, because they're future-proof as well. It's no secret that I am looking at getting an X-Drive M3. This system will bolt straight off my car and onto that. Thanks so much for everything. We'll join you in a minute once the tips are on and have a good look at the exhaust system when the car's out in some daylight, and hopefully appreciate what these look like a bit more. few days later, and as you can probably tell, I'm absolutely loving it. Massive thanks to Steve, Britt and Kev for being so hospitable, showing me around, allowing me to film, having the patience to allow me to film, because obviously when I'm in a workshop filming things like that, it slows the process down massively. But wow, I kind of had no idea how much modern technology and machinery was involved in producing a modern day exhaust like the one that's on this M3 competition now. I had a good look around their advanced manufacturing centre, which was super state of the art, and to me felt more like Formula One than what I'd pictured or expected an exhaust manufacturer to be like. The day before I took this car down to Miltech, I actually did some external revving sound clips and flybys, so let's check them out now, and then you can join me back here and we'll listen to what it sounds like after it's had the exhaust. To be fair to BMW, with all of the modern day restrictions that are in place, it actually doesn't sound too horrendous as a stock car, but it does have similarities to a vacuum cleaner, and unless you're on full chat like when I was at Goodwood, you really don't get too much, let's call it, organic sound, especially from the outside. Now let's listen to some clips that I filmed about half an hour ago with the Miltech exhaust on, and yeah, see what a transformation this car has had. They've all been filmed with the valves open, and after we've listened and watched those, you can join me back in the car and we can talk about what the car is like, or what it's been like to live with for the past few days with the valves closed and with the valves open. Well, as I'm sure you'll agree, the volume at least has gone up a lot. As I said before, that was all filmed with valves open. The good thing about this system is it retains the original BMW valve, so if I hit my M2 button, which I've programmed to close the valves, I now have a much quieter car. Okay, it's not quite as silent as it was before fitting the exhaust. I would actually say that it's similar to valves open with the original exhaust on, and I have to be honest that on the motorway at about 70 miles an hour there is more drone than the original exhaust, but the original exhaust has got zero drone, like it's silent at 70 miles an hour, which is lovely. So this one does have a little bit more drone. I'm not talking anywhere near as much as say my M2 competition has, but you can certainly hear the exhaust, and to me that's quite important in a car like this. You want to know what you're in, but you also don't want your ears bleeding when you're on a long journey, and I think they've really hit the sweet spot with the valves closed. But obviously when you open those valves, well, you get incredible sounds. I mean, listen to that. I mean, it's an absolute riot. It's not too loud though, and you don't get any vibrations or anything in the cabin, but when you're down your favourite road, it just makes the car feel good. The car comes alive. It really feels, to me, much more alive than it was. The roads are slippery today. And it's actually loud enough that it drowns out most of the fake sound that is still being pumped around the cabin, because I haven't had that turned off. So it's a real good compromise, if you like. I'm really, really pleased with it, and I can't wait to take this on a track day or take it on a proper drive, because the weather hasn't been great recently and I haven't really had a chance. So massive thanks once again to all the Miltech boys and girls. Yeah, and thanks to you lot for watching my channel. Stay tuned for more content coming very soon. Cheers.